Physical ancestry exists, but racial categories and their political meanings are taught, reinforced, and adopted. Race is a political religion. Race is not a people. Race is not a nation. Race is not a bloodline, precise enough to govern the life of a man. Race is a political identity. It is a story placed before the child is old enough to question it. It is repeated by parents, teachers, institutions, strangers, entertainment, census forms, political parties, and every outside authority that insists the child must first understand what category he belongs to before he can understand who he is. The pattern begins externally. Then it becomes internal. The child is told what his people are like. He is told what his people have suffered. He is told what his people have done. He is told whom his people should fear, whom they should trust, whom they should vote for, and which injuries committed before his birth now belong personally to him. Eventually, the cage no longer requires a guard. The child begins guarding it himself. That is internalized race. A political story is taught until it feels biological. A category is repeated until it feels inherited. An expectation is imposed until it feels natural. But repetition does not create biology. It creates obedience. Human ancestry is real. Skin pigmentation is real. Geographic descent is real. Physical variation is real. But none of these things arrive with a political platform attached to them. No child is born knowing what white means. No child is born knowing what black means. No child is born knowing what Asian means. Those meanings must be taught. They must be reinforced. They must be policed. They must be gatekept. The child learns the identity from his parents. He learns its boundaries from his peers. He learns its political obligations from institutions. He learns what behavior supposedly belongs to the category, what language belongs to it, what music belongs to it, what opinions belong to it, and what betrayal looks like. Race does not merely describe the person. It attempts to operate the person. That is why race functions like religion. Religion provides an origin story. Race provides an origin story. Religion provides inherited guilt and inherited glory. Race provides inherited guilt and inherited glory. Religion provides sacred victims, historical enemies, martyrs, traitors, rituals, symbols, and doctrines. Race provides the same machinery. Religion tells the believer that he belongs to something larger than himself. Race tells the believer the same thing. The difference is that a religion may admit that it is a doctrine. Race disguises doctrine as biology. Race takes a political identity and places it inside the body. It tells the person that rejecting the identity is the same as rejecting himself. It tells him that skin is destiny, ancestry is allegiance, and appearance is obligation. It is none of those things. A person may possess ancestry without accepting racial politics. A person may possess physical characteristics without accepting collective guilt. A person may resemble a group without owing that group his loyalty. A person may reject the political interpretation placed upon his body. A man does not choose his skin. He can choose whether his skin will become his religion. That is the choice. The modern American categories are especially crude: white, black, Asian, Hispanic. These are not civilizations. They are storage containers. They are categories designed to compress millions of distinct people into a handful of politically manageable abstractions. Outside that abstraction, people possess names. They are German, Norwegian, French, Polish, Serbian, Irish, Italian, Greek, or Russian. They are Nigerian, Haitian, Jamaican, Ethiopian, Senegalese, Ghanaian, or Kenyan. They are Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Mongolian, Vietnamese, Filipino, or Cambodian. They are Mexican, Cuban, Brazilian, Colombian, Venezuelan, Argentine, Salvadoran, or Dominican. They possess nations, languages, religions, regions, customs, histories, classes, families, and rivalries. Then the American racial system takes that complexity and destroys it. The German and the Greek become white. The Haitian and the Nigerian become black. The Mongolian and the Japanese become Asian. The Cuban and the Brazilian become Hispanic. History is removed. Nation is removed. Culture is removed. Individual character is removed. All that remains is the box. Then the people inside the box are told that they are natural allies because strangers assign them the same color or continental abstraction. They are told they share interests. They are told they share enemies. They are told they share responsibility. They are told they share a future. Then they become confused when the people inside the box do not care about them. They become confused when shared pigmentation does not produce loyalty. They become confused when shared classification does not produce shared values. They become confused when the racial brotherhood fails to behave like a brotherhood. But the failure was built into the premise. The box was never a family. It was an administrative category. It was never based on character. It was never based on loyalty. It was never based on affection, sacrifice, philosophy, competence, or shared duty. It was based on visible characteristics over which no one had control. Then America wonders why its people distrust one another. It teaches every child that society is divided into racial factions. It teaches every faction to study the others. It teaches them to measure representation, power, punishment, wealth, history, language, beauty, suffering, and success through the racial ledger. It teaches them that nothing is merely personal. Every insult may be racial. Every failure may be racial. Every success may be privilege. Every disagreement may be hatred. Every unequal result may be conspiracy. Every stranger may represent an entire historical force. That is not social awareness. That is induced paranoia. The person is trained to interpret the world through a permanent political siege. He is told that people he has never met are aligned against him because of categories they did not create and characteristics they did not choose. He is told to look at the body before the conduct. He is told to look at the category before the person. He is told to look for collective motive before individual evidence. Then, everyone acts surprised when the population begins behaving as though it is surrounded by enemies. You taught them the enemy categories. You taught them the historical accusations. You taught them the political obligations. You taught them to view society as a competition between racial blocs. Then you condemned them for believing you. Race cannot remain both biologically inevitable and politically optional. It cannot be an immutable fact when demanding protection, but merely a social construction when challenged. It cannot be meaningless biology and sacred identity at the same time. Either the category contains an objective political essence, or it does not. It does not. There is no black political gene. There is no white moral chromosome. There is no Asian philosophy encoded in the blood. There is no Hispanic electoral instinct carried through ancestry. There are individuals, there are families, there are cultures, there are nations, there are doctrines, there are choices. Race is the refusal to examine those choices individually. It is the lazy political mind demanding that the body answer questions that only conduct can answer. What does this person believe? Race answers with appearance. How does this person behave? Race answers with ancestry. Is this person loyal? Race answers with classification. Is this person guilty? Race searches history for someone with similar skin. It is intellectual fraud presented as social understanding. And because the category was politically constructed, race cannot remain an eternal excuse. A person cannot place every failure inside a racial explanation and still claim personal sovereignty. A person cannot demand recognition as an individual while assigning everyone else collective guilt. A person cannot reject stereotypes directed at himself while defending stereotypes directed at an approved enemy. The rule must be consistent. No inherited guilt. No inherited innocence. No inherited political allegiance. No assumption of virtue from suffering. No assumption of guilt from ancestry. A man should be judged by the things that passed through his will. His decisions, his loyalties, his discipline, his cruelty, his restraint, his work, his failures, his sacrifices, his conduct. Those belong to him. His skin does not. Race tells the person to seek identity in what he could not control. A better system demands identity through what he builds. Race says, find your people by appearance. A better system says, find your people by loyalty. Race says, inherit the struggle. A better system says, choose your obligations. Race says, the category explains the person. A better system says, the person must explain himself. The political religion of race survives because it is simple. It gives lonely people a congregation. It gives unsuccessful people an explanation. It gives politicians a voting block. It gives institutions a system of measurement. It gives frightened people an enemy. It gives guilty people a ritual of confession. It gives ambitious people a language of moral power. But simplicity is not truth. A crude category does not become intelligent because millions obey it. A story does not become biological because it is taught to children. A box does not become a nation because politicians count the votes inside it. Race is not the discovery of human difference. It is the political organization of difference. It is a story. It is a doctrine. It is an identity. And like every doctrine, it can be rejected. The skin may remain. The story does not have to.